The first spark of Duran Duran wasn't just musical, it was visual rebellion. Back in Birmingham, a place better known for factories than fantasy, Nick Rhodes and John Taylor weren't content with simply sounding good. They were obsessed with aesthetic. Art school ideas mixed with nightclub energy. They studied fashion magazines as seriously as records. Bands like Roxy Music and David Bowie showed them that identity could be fluid, theatrical, even cinematic. And they leaned all the way in. The Rum Runner era, building the machine. At the Rum Runner, they didn't just perform. They worked, literally. Members of the band held jobs there, running the door, DJing, cleaning up. In return, they got rehearsal space and a stage. But more importantly, they absorbed the pulse of nightlife, how people moved, dressed, reacted. This is where the early versions of Duran Duran began experimenting with drum machines, synth textures, and dance rhythms. The music wasn't heavy like rock or raw like punk. It was sleek, polished, seductive. When Simon Le Bon joined, everything sharpened. He wasn't just a singer. He wrote lyrics filled with surreal imagery, half poetry, half dream. Lines that didn't always explain themselves, but felt like fragments of a bigger, hidden story. Then came Roger Taylor and Andy Taylor, bringing a harder edge. Suddenly the band had balance, rhythm, melody, style, and bite. The sound, precision meets atmosphere. What made Duran Duran different wasn't just hooks, it was layering. John Taylor's bass lines weren't background. They drove songs, often influenced by funk and disco. Nick Rhodes filled space with icy, futuristic synthesizers. Andy Taylor added sharp, rock-influenced guitar riffs. Roger Taylor locked everything into a tight, danceable groove. Simon Le Bon floated above it all with melodic, often cryptic vocals. Producers like Colin Thurston, who had worked with David Bowie, helped refine that sound into something radio-ready but still distinctive. MTV, the perfect storm. When MTV launched in 1981, most bands didn't understand what it would become. Duran Duran did. Instead of treating videos as afterthoughts, they invested heavily, filming in exotic locations like Sri Lanka and Antigua. Directors like Russell Mulcahy turned songs into cinematic experiences. Hungry Like the Wolf felt like an adventure film. Rio looked like a luxury fantasy vacation. Save a Prayer carried a dreamlike, almost spiritual tone. These weren't just videos, they were aspiration. Viewers didn't just hear the music, they wanted to live inside it. Fame, the double edge. By 1983 to 84, Duran Duran were everywhere. Alongside bands like Culture Club and Spandau Ballet, they defined the new romantic movement. But their popularity reached another level entirely. Massive global tours. Magazine covers non-stop. Fan hysteria rivaling the Beatles. And with that came pressure. Creative tensions grew. Each member had different musical interests. Some leaned toward funk and experimental sounds. Others preferred straight rock. By 1985, the original lineup fractured. Side projects formed. The Power Station, with John and Andy Taylor, leaned into hard rock. Arcadia, with Simon Le Bon, Nick Rhodes, Roger Taylor, explored atmospheric, experimental music. It was less a breakup and more a splitting of identities, survival and reinvention. After the departures of Andy Taylor and Roger Taylor, many assumed Duran Duran would fade. They didn't. Instead, they adapted to the changing music landscape of the late 80s, though with mixed success. Trends shifted toward harder rock and later grunge, led by bands like Nirvana. But in 1993, they staged one of the most unexpected comebacks of the era. The album Duran Duran, the wedding album, delivered Ordinary World. Emotional, reflective, timeless. Come Undone. Dark, atmospheric, hypnotic. These weren't songs chasing trends. They were songs shaped by experience, loss, maturity, survival. Legacy, more than an era. What separates Duran Duran from many of their peers is longevity with identity intact. They influenced the blending of fashion and music branding, the evolution of music videos into cinematic storytelling, the integration of electronic and rock elements in pop. Artists across decades, from Justin Timberlake to The Weeknd, echo elements of what Duran Duran helped pioneer. Mood-driven pop with visual identity. The enduring image. Even now, decades later, they continue to perform and release music. The core vision never disappeared. Music should look like something, sound like somewhere, feel like a memory you haven't lived yet. And that's the real story of Duran Duran. Not just a band that rose with MTV, but one that understood before almost anyone else that the future of music wasn't just in what you hear, it was in what you see, feel, and imagine.